Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to work on picking up ammo automatically by running over it, in addition to having the capability of picking it up with the E key. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, in order to pick up the ammo on overlap, we'll need an overlap sphere dedicated for that capability. So here in the private variables, let's add a sphere component. So we can forward declare class uSphereComponent, and let's call this ammo collision sphere. I'm going to make this uProperty, and I'll make it edit anywhere, but I'm going to make this blueprint read only. I'll give this the category of ammo and meta allow private access equals true. So for the comment, we'll say overlap sphere for picking up the ammo. Now we need to construct this in the ammo constructor. So let's go up to the ammo constructor, and we're going to say ammo collision sphere is equal to create default subobject uSphereComponent, and we'll give this a text name and say ammo collision sphere. Now I'm going to attach this to the root component. So we're going to say ammo collision sphere, setup attachment, and we'll simply use get root component. And I'll go ahead and set the sphere radius. So we're going to use set sphere radius. 50.f should be approximately a good value. So now we need to create a function for overlapping with this sphere. So let's go ahead and create an overlap function, and let's put it up here in our protected function section. So this will be a void function, and I'm going to call this sphere collision overlap. Now for overlap events, we need a specific set of input parameters, and we have an overlap sphere in item.h, so we can go and look at those functions for overlapping. Here we have onSphere overlap and onSphere end overlap. We can simply copy these, including their ufunction macros, and we can simply paste them in right here. So we can change the names of these functions, and in fact we don't even need onSphere end overlap. We can just delete that. We just need an overlap function, and since item.h has onSphere overlap, let's avoid any confusion and call this ammo sphere overlap. That way there's no question as to which class this belongs to. Now since we pasted it in, it's indented, and I'm going to go ahead and bring this in a little bit. So now we have a function called ammo sphere overlap. Let's create a body for this function. Okay, so now we have a body for it. Now we're going to want to bind this as a callback for an overlap event. So in ammo.cpp, we can do that right here in begin play. So we're going to use our ammo collision sphere. And from ammo collision sphere, we're going to get on component begin overlap, and we're going to say .add dynamic. This is how we bind our function. The first parameter will be the user object, that's this, and the second one is going to be the address of the function ammo sphere overlap. And now we have our function callback bound to overlapping the ammo collision sphere. All that's left now is to simply script out the functionality that we want in ammo sphere overlap. And of course I'm getting an error because I put the class name, but the class name needs two A's there because it's ammo sphere overlap. Okay, so let's go down to ammo sphere overlap and think about how we want to implement this. Now, what do we do when we pick up an item? Well, if we go to shooterCharacter.cpp and go to select button pressed, we check to see if we're tracing a hit item, and if we are, we call start item curve. So this is what starts the interpolation for the item, and at the end of that interpolation, we end up picking up the item. So in ammo.cpp, all we need to do is call start item curve. So we do that by first checking the other actor. We want to make sure that it's valid, and once we do that, we can cast it to shooter character. If we're going to be casting things to shooter character, we need to include shooter character in ammo.cpp, so let's go up to the top and do that real quick. Include shooter character.h. Now back down here, we can cast other actor to a shooter character. I'm going to use auto to save some typing and say character equals cast to a shooter character, and we're casting the other actor. Now if the other actor that's overlapped with us has successfully cast to a character, then we can simply call start item curve passing in that character. So start item curve takes a shooter character, so we can pass in character, and that is going to start our item curve. Now there's one minor detail that we need to take into account. If we go back to shooterCharacter.cpp and look at select button pressed, we're taking care of playing the pickup sound here in select button pressed. But when we run over the item and overlap with it, select button pressed is not getting called. This is only called when we press a button. So really, this playing the sound shouldn't be here. It should actually be in start item curve. And the pickup sound is on the item itself anyway, so we might as well just play this in start item curve in the item class. So why don't we go ahead and delete this and play the sound in start item curve on item.cpp. So in item.cpp, let's go to start item curve, and right after we set our member variable called character to the character passed in, why don't we go ahead and check to see if our pickup sound is valid. If it is, then we can simply call play sound 2D from here. So uGameplay statics, and the function is called play sound 2D. Now we need uGameplay statics, so we can include that at the top here, and the include is include Kismet /gameplay statics.h. And now uGameplay statics is recognized. Now this function takes a world context object, which we can use this, and a pickup sound, which we just checked to see if pickup sound is valid. So we can pass in pickup sound, and now the pickup sound will be played in start item curve. Now it says uSoundQ is incompatible with uSoundBase. Now this is a tricky one, and it's not entirely obvious what's causing this problem because uSoundQ is of course inheriting from uSoundBase, but IntelliSense is complaining because we need to include uSoundQ as well so that it understands that relationship. So go back up to the top and we'll include the header for uSoundQ, which is in sound/soundQ. Now, of course, I remembered this, but if I didn't, you know how to find it out by going to the Unreal Engine documentation. And now we no longer have an error here. Okay, let's compile this and give it a test run. Okay, so compiling, I get an error, and the error message that I'm looking at is declaration of character hides class member. I'm going to double click that, and here I'm using a local variable called character, which is a big no-no since there's already a character variable in the item.h class. So instead of character, let's just use something that we are not already using. I'm going to say overlapped character. And so we'll use overlapped character there and there. And also, in addition to starting the item curve, we're going to want to make sure that we don't trigger this overlap event multiple times. So let's go ahead and use our ammo collision sphere, and let's set collision enabled to collision enabled no collision. That way we don't spam this and trigger it multiple times. Okay, let's compile this and see how it works. All right, we've successfully compiled. Let's go back into the editor and we'll run over it and we pick it up. Perfect. All right, that's going to conclude this video. In the next video, we're going to handle what we should do if we have multiple ammo pickups. What if we're picking them up in such rapid succession that there's too many to interpolate? And also, if we're interpolating a whole bunch of them, they're all flying up to the same location. That doesn't look good. We're going to want to handle what happens when we pick up lots of pickups at the same time. So stay tuned. We'll do this in the next video.